Welcome back. Episode 108 of the Sports Information Podcast. No, this is not a voice filter. I am very sick. So I promise to make this episode quick, short, sweet, and to the point so that you don't have to keep putting up with my voice for the night, all right? Sound good for everybody? Sounds good for me. So we're going to skip the whole blah, 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 what missed the cut. Almost everything missed the cut today. No Hanover Sports shout out. Sorry. Love you guys. Thanks for employing me. But we're getting right into Week 11 recap. We went 13-1. Spoiler alert, it was the 49ers that sold us. They lost 17-20 to the Sea Chickens in San Francisco, too. So it's bad news for you 49ers fans. But Thursday Night Football, my birthday, November 14th, the Commanders went to Philly and lost, just like I said they would. The Raiders played the Dolphins in Miami and lost, just like I said they would. It's a theme here. Browns in New Orleans, lost. Colts in New York, playing the Jets, and we won because the Jets are a bad football team. And I'm ready to go there. Aaron Rodgers is now, not all time, not for his career, not in years past. Now he's a bad quarterback. Can't convince me otherwise. And he's an awful leader. He's a terrible locker room guy. Get him out. Vikings beat the Titans in Tennessee. The Packers beat the Bears in Chicago by 1 point. That was a barn burner. It was awesome. The Lions should be in jail for what they did to the Jaguars, 52-6 in Detroit. The Rams beat the Patriots. The Steelers beat the Ravens. I already said the Sea Chickens beat the 49ers. Didn't call that, though. Broncos beat the Falcons 38-6. That one was pretty handily. Remember I said the Broncos were good at defense? Well, they're pretty all right at offense, too. I mean, Bo Nix, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns. Kid's way ahead of schedule. He looks like he's going to be a more than serviceable quarterback in this league. And Sean Payton has really turned that team around. I don't know if it was a Russ issue. I don't know if the Sean Payton scheme was an issue for Russ. I don't know what it was. But Russ looks great in Pittsburgh. Or not great, but he looks more than serviceable in Pittsburgh. And Bo Nix and the Broncos are clicking, so, everybody's happy there. The Chiefs lost to the Bills. Called it. First loss of the season. I didn't see it being by about 9 points, but neither here nor there. Chargers beat the Bengals. That one was game of the week for sure. Super exciting. Sunday Night Football. I watched that on my drive home from Cincinnati, actually. And the Chargers did everything they could to give the Bengals that game in the second half. Joe Burrow did everything he could to win that game in the second half, let me tell you. And just didn't happen because the Bengals have an awful defense and their kicker sold. Texans, 34-10 win over the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. Called that. That is a 13-1, very quick Week 11 recap. You're welcome. Let's jump right into Week 12 here. Steelers in Cleveland on Thursday Night Football. Are you going to make me say it? Mike Tomlin's going to bully the Browns, okay? The Titans in Texas taking on the Texans. C.J. Stroud's going to take care of business against that weak divisional opponent. Shouldn't be a close one. These first 9 games are pretty easy to pick, honestly, for this week. The Vikings in Chicago. Should be the Vikings. Cowboys in Washington taking on the Commanders. Should be the Commanders, right? Yeah. 4 for 4 right there. Patriots taking on the Dolphins in Miami. Give me Tua, Tyreek, and those boys to dismantle the Patriots. Drake May might throw for 2 touchdowns, so he's been all right. So, I'm excited to see what that rookie can do. But give me the Dolphins on the win. Chiefs heading to Carolina to take on the Panthers, and they will have a big bounce-back game, and they should win by more than 3 touchdowns. The Bucs heading to New York to take on the Giants, and the Bucs are going to win. Mike Evans might be back. This also might be his first year without a 1,000-yard season in his career due to the time he's missed. He's got like 7 games or something like that, 6 or 7 games to put up a little over 650 yards or something. So if he's back and he's healthy, you should look for him to be going off each week. A lot of targets because that's a streak. That 1,000-yard season streak that he has is something he wants to hold on to for his career. The Lions in Indianapolis. I'll actually be at this game. Unfortunately, watching my Colts get beat up, dude. I don't see that game going well. Maybe Anthony Richardson does some cool things. He's played really well in his first game back. He made a crazy throw with one of those D linemen from the Jets, just draped all over him, still got the throw off. I don't know how many other quarterbacks in the league can make that throw. The problem is it doesn't matter because there's two handfuls at least, of better quarterbacks in the league. So there's certainly more than two handfuls. That's what I'm saying, at least. Like, I don't care who you are. You can't say that there's not more than 10 better quarterbacks. Broncos at Raiders. Give me the Broncos. Cardinals at Seahawks. This is where the games start to get hard. You got the 6-4 Cardinals with the 5-5 Seahawks. It's in Seattle. Divisional matchup. Geno Smith, man, he's been unreal this year, honestly. He's been playing his ass off, slinging that thing all over the field. Pause. And then the Cardinals are just on a tear, too. I mean, Kyler Murray's got them as a dark horse contender in the playoffs. Not Super Bowl contender, just playoff contender, okay? I'm not delusional. But, the smart, sharp pick here is Seattle. It's divisional. It's at home. Seattle's playing well. I want to say they've got the better defense this year. I'm not pulling up the numbers. I'm too sick. I'm too tired. Give me the Cardinals. I've been rocking with Kyler Murray and Marv all year, picking them where it matters, and they win. Give me it. I picked against the Seahawks last week, too. They told me I shouldn't have, but I think that the Cardinals have looked better than the 49ers this year, so I feel a little more confident in this pick. Still not fully sold on it, though, but give me the Cardinals. We'll rock with them. The 49ers head to Green Bay to take on the Packers. Give me the Packers. I'm loving them. I love what they do this year. They're 7-3. The Niners are 5-5. Green Bay's at home. Jordan Love's playing fine. Jaden Reed's healthy. Josh Jacobs should be out there. Matt LaFleur, love him as a coach this year. He's awesome, man. So give me the Packers. Eagles in LA to take on the Rams. Give me the Rams. Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Can't stop them. And that Eagles team is fraudulent. I don't believe in Nick Sirianni one bit. Only thing good about that team is their offensive weapons. Ravens, Chargers, Monday Night Football in LA at SoFi Stadium. That's the hardest game of the week to pick by a mile. You have an awesome defense, obviously, in the Harbaugh-led Chargers. Justin Herbert's playing the best football of his career. Harbaugh fixed that. Shout out the coaching. And the Ravens, the other Harbaugh. Oh, I just put this together. The Harbaugh brothers are matching up. Wow, that's incredible. Wow. Jim and John going at it. Jim, don't want to lose your first pro matchup against your brother. John, you're the established pro coach. You can't lose it against your brother. And you've got the better quarterback. Oh, pardon me. And you've got the better running back. And you've got the better. You know what? Give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. All right. That's it for week 12 picks. It's certainly not going to be a 100%er week. It's just not. There's too many games in that latter half. The 49ers, Packers, it could go either way, but I'm going with the Packers. The Rams, Eagles. Eagles could squeak that out, but I say that's not likely. Cardinals, Seahawks, probably a coin flip, and then Ravens, Chargers, also probably a coin flip. Just depends on who shows up playing their best ball that day. But everything else on that slate should be locked in. Those three games do worry me, though, so if I lose those three, is what it is. However, we're going to be quick with this next part. We got 2 or 3 producer questions, and then we're getting out of here. It's just a short week. I'm sorry, guys. It is what it is. Let's rock.
Okay. After Bo Nix's week last week, he was 28 for 33, 307 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, like a 140.5 passer rating, I think.
Yep.
And after the first 4 or 5 weeks, everyone in the NFL community, it seemed like, kind of thought Jaden Daniels had solidified himself as that rookie of the year through, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks. But, after seeing him kind of, trail off on those big performances and seeing guys like Bo Nix, finally come into their own on the field, like, who would be your pick for, offensive rookie of the year? And, like, do you think there'd be any other guys that can emerge as leaders in the race.
Yeah, I mean, so Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels are right next to each other in all these. Here I am saying I'm not going to look up stats and numbers tonight, and I just did. Right next to each other in these QB standings. I mean, Daniels has 2,338 yards on the year. Bo Nix has 2,275. So, a little over 100-yard difference there. 8 yards per attempt versus 6.4 for Nix. Daniels has had fewer attempts, so I think that Nix having he's got fewer attempts by 60-something. So 100 fewer yards on over 50 more attempts isn't in favor of Nix. He's got more completions, too, but a lower completion percentage, 68.7 for Daniels, 65.6.
What do their rushing stats look like?
It's not going to be close. Touchdowns, Bo Nix has 4 more passing touchdowns, but he also has 6 more interceptions. Jaden Daniels' rushing stats. Let me find them here. Oh, that's not going to sound good on air. Can't be sniffling in the mic. Okay, here we go. Rushing. No, give me the career stats, please. I don't care about all the weeks. Okay, here we go. Rushing. 482 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns with 30 first downs. His longest rush is 46 yards. That's Jaden Daniels. And then if we get back over to Bo Nix here. Oh, back one more time, please. Bo Nix. Yeah, I think the splits are obviously going to favor Jaden Daniels. But Bo Nix has to be in the conversation based off what he's done this year. Yeah, his rushing yards don't. 295. His longest is 32. Same amount of rushing touchdowns, though. And 27 first downs. What did I say Daniels had?
I think 30 first downs.
Yeah, 30. So, I mean, it's close. He's just got fewer yards. Maybe it's a little closer than I'm giving Nix credit for, but I still think Daniels pulls away with it just because voters on these types of awards tend to favor the eye test wow factor, and Daniels is just a bit more impressive to the eye than Nix is, I think.
Who's going to put butts in seats?
Yeah, exactly. And it's Jaden Daniels. He's the bigger name, and he's doing it for a team. I mean, no one expected the Broncos to be good. Don't get me wrong, but no one expected the Commanders to be what they are. And considering Daniels has a much better record, you got to go with Daniels for that Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year pick. But Nix absolutely has worked himself into the conversation. Like I said last week, maybe a week before, I don't know. Nix is way ahead of schedule. I didn't see it coming. I didn't hear anybody in the sports media world that saw it coming. And hats off to you, kid. Next question.
Okay, little kind of off the wall here, but just like shouting out Taysom Hill being a total human Swiss Army knife. Had 138 yards, 3 touchdowns on 7 carries, 50 yards on 8 receptions, and an 18-yard completion. Coming from a guy who thinks he knows football, I think that's a perfect example of like playing to your strengths and getting the ball, in your playmaker's hands, regardless of, if it's not a guy who runs a 4.3 at the combine,
Right.
Like not anybody's capable of doing that. Anybody in the league, I feel like, is capable of doing that with a good, coach and offensive system. But do you like an offense that, spreads the ball around like that? Or do you like, kind of a vanilla offense where you know what you're getting every single time? Or like what's more appealing to you to watch? An offense full of flair or an offense that is going to win you games, but it's not going to look as, fun or appealing to the eye?
So essentially what you just asked me is, would I prefer to watch the Mike Tomlin Steelers offense, the traditional Mike Tomlin Steelers offense? This year it's been a little bit more spiced up because he's had a lot more flexibility and options with his quarterback play. But he's him and Harbaugh, coaches like that, they're typically just ground and pound, run the clock out, run you off the field. Or the Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offense. Like, just electric, dynamic. You never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
Could be a jet sweep. Could be a handoff to Pacheco. Could be a fucking 80-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill. I would rather watch the explosive, dynamic offenses. That's what I'm a fan of. I'm a fan of points. I'm a fan of scoring. I'm a fan of athletes being athletes, playmakers being playmakers. But what I want to touch on real quick, because I kind of disagree with what you said, I don't know that most guys in the league could do what Taysom Hill is doing. Because if they could, they would. Taysom Hill is simply one of the biggest X factors on a per-team basis. Like, I don't know how many other teams have a guy on their roster like Taysom Hill that is as valuable and can do as many things for them.
How
right?
old is he?
Like, he's 34 years old. Patrick Mahomes is obviously incredibly valuable to the Chiefs, right? I'm not saying Taysom Hill is more valuable than Mahomes or Lamar to the
Totally.
Ravens, Jaden Daniels to the Commanders, but Taysom Hill is more important to the Saints than Bryce Young is to the Panthers, clearly. More important than anybody on the Raiders except Max Crosby, certainly. He's more important than, have 90. Oh my God. 98% of the Patriots roster. Like, he's just a dog. I don't know what else to say about that man. I don't get it. Because like you said, he's not uber athletic. I mean, he is. Obviously, he's a professional athlete doing crazy things. But relative to his peers, right, relative to the group of athletes that he's around every year in that league, he's not an uber athletic 6'4", wide receiver, or a running back who runs a 4.1 40 or whatever. I don't know what fast 40 time is. 4.1 fast?
That
Fast
would
as
be
shit,
like
right?
the fastest ever.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Just want to make sure. So, yeah, I mean, Taysom Hill, hats off, dude. You're doing crazy things. Unfortunately, you've spent your whole career doing crazy things for a team that isn't going to get you anywhere. Was he there during the Drew Brees era?
I think a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe. Let me look that real
Like,
quick.
he got NFC Offensive Player of the Week this week, and it's only the
Yeah,
second
as he
time he's
should.
ever gotten it in his career.
Yeah, well,
Like, that's just, I don't know, I guess anybody's capable of popping off like that in the league. We've seen it a couple times this year already.
he's only been in the league since 2017 when he was 27 years old. So he didn't make it to the league till he's 27.
Yeah.
So this is a dude who clearly had to grind, go through extra steps to get there. I mean, dude, look at his positions that he's been listed at. Quarterback. He came in the league as a quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, tight end, quarterback, tight end. He's played 3 positions now in the NFL.
Yeah.
All on one side of the ball, but nonetheless, 3 positions. The dude has 33 career rushing touchdowns. He has 11 career receiving touchdowns. How many passing touchdowns does he have?
11, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. Passing touchdowns. Here we go. 11 career. Yeah, so, I mean, dude does everything for that team. He's the definition of a grinder, and he absolutely deserves his flowers. So, next.
Okay, last thing. I just want to talk about the draft for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like everyone's saying that this isn't a very strong draft class.
Correct.
And, quarterback wise, I kind of agree. Like, I don't believe the Shedeur-Sanders hype. I can't get behind it.
Sure.
But I'm not sold on it. Like, I think this is kind of a fairly okay draft. Like, you can have, Ashton Genty, Quinshon Judkins, Luther Burden, Tedoroa McMillan. Like, I think there's some good guys that you can go out and get, and maybe they're not, Marvin Harrison Jr. names and types coming out of college, but I mean, Tedoroa McMillan is a 6'4", 200-pound. He's the shiftiest 6'4", 200-pound guy I've ever seen on the perimeter,
Sure.
And he's just going to do things in the league that other people can't. And, even if he's not a wide receiver 1, he could be your wide receiver 3 and still see reps and still expand a defense further than, somebody else. But, like, do you think there's any standout guys in this draft that are flying under the radar or anything?
Again, and this is my downfall, and this is where I need to improve myself. I got to start paying more attention to the college landscape. I've been starting to as the year goes on, but I don't know enough of the players to say that anybody's flying under the radar necessarily, or I don't know enough to confidently say. What I will say, though, just looking at this consensus draft board here, and this is via The Athletic from the New York Times. I'm sure it's pretty same as ESPN and NFL and all those guys. It's just the first one I clicked on. But Travis Hunter at number 1, Will Johnson from Michigan, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, Ashton Genty, okay, so on and so on. Just looking at this list, there's not a single Ohio State or Alabama guy in the top 19 players. The first Ohio State or Alabama guy is Talik Williams, a defensive tackle from Ohio State, at number 20, right? Now, these are obviously preseason or pre-draft projections, still in the heat of NFL season and not even quite to college playoffs yet. So things can obviously change. But I think that's where all of the internet experts, right, not myself, but the ones who, just play fantasy football and think they know everything, or the ones who only pay attention to big names, that's why they think that this isn't a big class or a strong draft class, so to speak, because it doesn't have those namesake guys like Marvin Harrison, like Malik Neighbors, Caleb Williams, all these big names or whatever. You got a few of them, but they're from Boise State, a la Ashton Genty, or, Colorado. Like, when was the last time a Colorado college player was projected first overall? I'll give you the answer. Never. I don't even have to look that up to know. 2 Colorado guys projected in the top 20. When was the last time that happened? I'll go out on a limb and say never. I don't know if that's right, but like, your first Alabama prospect isn't projected until 22. And then you don't have another one from Alabama projected until 49. Like, when's the last time that there was no Alabama or Ohio State college football player in the top 10?
Wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know either. I would be willing to guess it's been a while, but I think, reasons like that, like Ashton Genty. Did you know who he was prior to this year?
Not at all.
Me neither. And you knew who Marvin Harrison was since he was in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
You knew who Malik Neighbors was, not since he was in high school maybe, but at least for 2 years of college. So reasons like that is why I think people are saying that this isn't going to be a great draft class. I play enough fantasy football, and I watch enough pro football to know it doesn't matter what your name is, where you went to school, who your daddy is, what your workout routine is. Well, that might matter, but that definitely doesn't matter. Don't matter about any of the namesake stuff. It doesn't matter about half that shit, bro. What matters is, can you go out there and execute what's on the whiteboard? Can you go out there and ball? Who knows, right? Like, Ashton Genty might be a bust in the NFL. You don't know. Who's all the way down here? Quinn Ewers, projected at 46. A lot of people aren't sold on him. They're not, like, dying at the Quinn Ewers hype, but he might be the best one in the class, right? Who knows? All the hype's behind Shedeur Sanders. Caleb Johnson, the running back from Iowa. I don't know who that is. Might be a dog in the NFL. You never know. Trey Harris, wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Dog.
I've seen his highlights. He could turn out to be the best wide receiver of the last 3 drafts. And he's projected all the way down at 40-something. So who knows? Who cares about the Twitter experts telling you this draft class isn't strong? Bro, whatever. Neither are you. You're not strong either. That's why you're tweeting and not playing in the NFL. Okay? Anyway. Yeah, that's what I got. Are we out of here? Is that the last question?
That's all I got.
That's awesome. All right. Thanks for listening. Sorry about my voice. Hope to be better next week. And I'll see you in week 13. Later.
Peace, love, and pick our picks.